best. But right now on the bench after looking like she is in some pain.
Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark.
Hello, guys. Welcome back to TFD. If you rock with the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this video, and hit that bell so you never miss what's coming next. Now listen, it finally feels like we might be getting something in the WNBA that so many of us have been begging for. Because let's be real, the officiating this season has been brutal as hell. And I'm not talking about a few missed calls here and there. I mean flat out embarrassing. We've watched players get smacked in the face, busted noses, blood on the floor, and somehow no whistle. No stoppage, no review, no accountability. And then there's Caitlin Clark. Night after night, she's getting targeted, bumped, grabbed, hit on drives, hand-checked all game long. And she still can't buy a foul call. It's wild. She should be living at the free throw line, but instead, she's getting beat up and told to play through it. That's not toughness. That's negligence. Now, here's where things get interesting. Shout out to Rachel Demita because she recently had Annie Constable on, and that interview is a must-watch. Annie straight up said that players and the league are pushing to bring in new referees. More qualified refs, better training, a real effort to make the game safer and more consistent. And that is huge as hell. Because this league is growing. The talent is here, the stars are here, the audience is here. But if the refs don't protect the players, none of that matters. So yeah, we might finally be seeing real change. Let's talk about what Annie said on Rachel Demita's Courtside Club, why this matters so much, and how it could change everything in the WNBA.
What do you think is the biggest thing, just as far as the product on the floor? Because a lot of people talk about physicality. A lot of people talk about the referees. I actually did a deep dive in one of my episodes talking about like who the referees are calling to, essentially, and where the W gets their referees. But as far as the product, because at the end of the day, fans are not going to stick around if it's not a good product, period. Right. Like, they have to be there for the basketball, and I think a lot of casual fans got pulled into the W because Caitlin had such a different game that was, like, just very, very exciting to watch, and she's an incredible player. So they're there. Now they're seeing this product. They're like, oh, this is cool. There's other players that I'm, like, getting super invested in. But a lot of people have called out, like, physicality referees. Have you heard anything from players, owners, like any of your sources about them actively working on improving the product?
Yeah, I mean, officiating, like, I know everyone thinks, like, this is all about Caitlin and the way Caitlin is officiated. Across the league, coaches, like, this has been an issue. Like, go back.
We saw Coach Cheryl Reeve crash out.
Cheryl Reeve is the crash out queen.
Over the officiating. Yeah, it was, like, one of the best crash outs ever.
But, like, go back to... God, like Candace's rookie year, there's a game she gets laid out, like, and multiple. Like, go back to all of these players. It's crazy what they all went through. And so obviously there are more eyes on the league. So there's the way that the physicality around Caitlin was obviously layered in the sense of, like, she's this phenom coming into the league, like everyone's talking about her. So we've got all these vets who, again, it's the same when Candace came into the league, when Diana, when there's a generational player that comes into the league, and it's in men's sports too, the messaging is, okay, this is our league, like, welcome, you know? It's like, and so I think across the league, there are coaches, like, this has been an issue. And in that respect, I think the attention on the league now is forcing the league's hand, because all these years that they've been like, yeah, we're doing enough. Like, again, we've been asking in press conferences for years, like, what's up with this thing, right? And so now, again, the microscope is so fixated on the league that they have to answer these questions and they have to do better. And so, yes, the officiating has been a problem. It was a problem. It will continue to be a problem until they treat the hiring of these officials as, again, the same way they treat the players in terms of making this like a lucrative place to be. You can't expect the best officiating if the salary structure is not great, if the way you're pooling these officials is like not great. There's so many institutional issues and have been with the officiating. There's a committee now that has been put together. The competition meetings, they spoke about the officiating committee. That's something that I've got to double back on and see how much progress was actually made. A lot of times these things are talked about and then it's like, okay, do they actually lead to change? So to answer your question, yes, officiating is a huge problem. The physicality, I've heard, I obviously listen to you and I've heard some of your takes about the physicality. And I do think there's a degree of physicality which can jeopardize the game. But I'm of the mindset this is a physical game and I don't want to see the women's game be softer or the women's game turn into a softer version of the game. You know what I'm saying? I think, again, good officiating fixes that, but I don't know that physicality, the simple term physicality is a problem.
Yeah, I think I have two takes on the physicality. One, I think the women's game is always going to be more physical than the men's game because we play on the floor. There's not levels to it. Guys are playing above the rim. You can't be as physical if a guy's going up for a dunk.
Not with Dominique Malunga, maybe she'll
yeah. But you can't go and undercut a guy. You can kill somebody trying to play physical if you're not all on the same playing field. And so I think that's just one thing. Right. And it was the same thing. And obviously the spotlight is on the Fever and the spotlight is on Caitlin. When Caitlin's rookie season, when Kennedy Carter checked her when the ball wasn't even in play and that wasn't upgraded, there was nothing there because the ball wasn't in play. And you're like, what's going on?
It's not a matter of personal opinion or villainizing of Kennedy. I think the Chicago Tribune editorial board after that wrote a really egregious op-ed. And again, this I'm so glad we're talking about all this, but this is what makes daily beat writing so hard, or covering the league just from a critical space so hard, because at that time, that was a simple evaluation. The ball was not in play. Kennedy lowers her shoulder. She checks Caitlin to the ground. And it's should have been simple, call the foul. It should have been upgraded. And obviously it's upgraded in hindsight. But then what happens is all of these voices, all of these brilliant sports minds who have never covered the WNBA, they come in and they start opining about poor Caitlin and poor this and poor that. And it's it became something more than a foul that should have been called in the moment, and we keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? And so then that, all the discourse that happened with moments like that, then if you come in and you're critical of a cheap shot or a bad foul in a game, it's oh, here's another person that's just coming to Caitlin's rescue. And it's no, that was just a bad basketball play. Right. That was a bad basketball play. And then they lost the game by 1 point. You put your team in a position to lose, and then you did lose. And so it's it's okay to call basketball things. And when Caitlin came in, there were so many people who had no knowledge of the women's game that came in and felt the need to rush to her defense. And I don't agree with any of that. It's you can cover the game and be critical of those moments without trying to be Caitlin's savior. And as a result, there was so much just that went on to Caitlin, to all of them that didn't need to go on to it was crazy. It was crazy.
Here's the real bottom line. This moment is bigger than one bad season. It's bigger than one superstar getting hacked every night. This is about whether the WNBA is actually serious about protecting its players and respecting the damn game. You can't sell growth, excitement, and global attention while letting the product on the floor look reckless and inconsistent. Fans aren't tuning in to watch chaos. They're tuning in to watch basketball. And let's be clear, Caitlin Clark didn't create this problem. She exposed it. The spotlight she brought to the league didn't invent bad officiating, it just made it impossible to ignore. And honestly, that's a good thing, because pressure creates change. When casual fans start asking, why isn't that a foul? And longtime supporters start saying, this isn't safe, the league doesn't get to look the other way anymore. If the WNBA truly wants to keep this momentum, the ratings, the money, the new fans, the respect, then officiating cannot be an afterthought. It has to be treated like player development, real investment, real accountability, and real damn standards. Better training, better evaluations, better refs, period. Because the players deserve better, the fans deserve better, and the game deserves better. This league is at a turning point. It can either grow into what its potential promises or trip over the same old bullshit that's held it back for years. The talent is here. The stars are here. The audience is here. Now it's on the WNBA to prove it's not just riding the wave, but actually steering the damn ship. Tell me what you think, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Look at this shit. Caitlin Clark is getting blatantly fucking mugged on every play, and these fake-ass refs just stand there like blind idiots. No whistle, no balls, no integrity. Now, Goldman Sachs owns her agency? Yeah, don't be shocked when that magically stops being so damn broken. Sorry for abusing language. They deserve.
Now Clark trying to make something happen. Behind the back. Taps the basket and get.
Ball is trying to clear 8. Shot clock down to 9. Here as Clark gets inside. The scoop shot.
8-point Connecticut lead. Here's Clark looking to take Burton. Clark inside. Banks it.
We ran into them in the NCAA tournament. And I was like, what do they feed the players? And
that's better for Connecticut.
Caitlin Clark, composure and be her balance so well around the basket.
There's Caitlin Clark.
He needs energy from everyone, especially the bench.
Well, I'm glad Erica Wheeler got into him a little bit.
Whenever Indiana hits a big bucket, she responds. Clark banks.
Clark working on Cunningham, gets inside. Clark gets it.
SU pro Adam Marquette. Mid-second rounder who's really found a spot in the WNBA is Clark.
In this third quarter. Behind the back, Clark.
Clark trying to get around Mabry. Clark to the rim. Reverses it home.
Clark. Uh-oh. Rocco Clark is lead. Here comes Caitlin. Get it.
Taurasi a finish. A 20-year veteran, Diana Taurasi.
Well, she's definitely taken that golden advice. Recently being the first WNBA player that has recorded consecutive.
And Clark turns on the Jets. Clark off the screen, drives inside, and a big shot. All 8 of Las Vegas's points here, and that's been kind of the story for the Aces this year. As Clark got around, Stokes gets to the rim, lays it in. Clark being watched by Nurse. Clark on the drive, Clark hangs and banks it.
They've been trying. Chicago's been trying to find a way to get Rachel Banham going. That's one way. Count.
Stephanie White riding with Thomas here with 2 fouls as Clark gets inside.
That's Cena Charles' first bucket of the game. Caitlin Clark back into. Indiana has not missed in this second quarter. 8 for 8. Clark.
Here's Clark. Clark looking to take it around Lloyd. Clark bodies in and finishes. Here's Clark. Quick first step. Clark cutting to the hoop.
Back to back here tonight. This is really physically demanding.
No, it is extremely difficult. Just one, not only physically, but also mentally staying in.
Few shifts, a downshift there, the deceleration, and the finish at the rim.
Clark goes behind her back to get
This game, the pace of this game, I'm not quite sure who it's benefiting. I guess you have to say the Wings right now because they're up. Clark, by playing together, you will hear all of these fevered players talk about the flow that they're developing.
Kumbawale to McCowan, and now it's 10. Caitlin bottled up, but it doesn't matter.
The only person shooting better from the three by percentage than her teammate, Kayla McBride.
Clark takes it.
And we're going to expect a big night here for Cunningham. She does a good job stepping in when she needs to.
Clark, she's now a 17-point deficit. Shot clock is off. The Fever can play for the final possession. Nobody picks up Clark, so she takes it.
Shooters set all kinds of three-point records last year. Here's Caitlin Clark driving. She's got
Time for Phoenix.
good job by Cunningham to quickly get on Clark.
Clark sinks the screen and got the
On defense that has started this run for Atlanta. The help side's got to be there.
For the first time this season, the Fever tip off a game currently in a playoff spot. They moved up to 8th with that win over Chicago as Clark gets inside and
Clark. 6 to shoot. Backing down. Clark leans in and bangs.
D and Gainbridge down there might be worn out by the end of the year. She's had a couple shots from the Gainbridge Fieldhouse logo. Here's Clark on the drive. And the
Great read of the defense by Lloyd, and Seattle matching their season high with assists now at 19.
Good move by Clark, and she forced.
It is Caitlin Clark able to clear for Indiana.
Caitlin coming off that 20-point performance right here, handling the physicality.